Juan Soto has his swagger back. Jeff McNeil walked it off, and the New York Mets have now won 4 games in a row.
You are Locked On Mets, your daily New York Mets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all you amazing Mets fans. You're watching Locked On Mets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Ryan Finkelstein. I've been covering the New York Mets on this show since the 2019 season. Solo podcast covers the Mets 7 days a week throughout the regular season. If you want to find some of my written work, you can do so over at justbaseball.com, where I work as the managing editor. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. The New York Mets continue to win at Citi Field with some late game magic, a walk-off victory. Jeff McNeil coming up clutch in extra innings. It's been a lot of fun to watch the Mets this season just continue to dominate at home. And it's not always the same formula. Sometimes, maybe the bats come out early. Other times, maybe they have to win a game late, but this team just consistently stays in every game. And that's what you want to see. I talked about it going into the series on yesterday's show for the series preview. This is a Nationals team that at times can hit about a league average offense. They have some pretty good starting pitchers, particularly the guy that we saw on Tuesday night, Mackenzie Gore, who is their ace. Fastest pitcher to 100 strikeouts this season, a really dominant left-handed arm, but they have a real Achilles heel. Their bullpen is not good, the worst bullpen ERA in the National League right now. So, as I mentioned on the series preview, if the Mets can buy their time early, get into that Nationals bullpen, they should be able to win those late games when they're close because the Mets have such a huge edge with their bullpen. And that's what we saw in this game, really, because Griffin Canning did not have a good start. Now, he also didn't have a terrible start. He got into an early hole, had a couple mistakes in the first inning, particularly a hanging slider to Nathaniel Lowe, who hit a 2-run homer. Third inning, the Nationals tacked on another run. Canning gave up 3 hits in the inning, a couple of singles, and then with 2 outs, C.J. Abrams, who tagged him for a double in the first inning in front of the Lowe home run, ends up getting an RBI double in the second inning, rips one over the first base bag, hits into that jutting in right field. So the ball came well short of Soto. Jose Tena tried to score from first base as Soto ran in. That made it a really good opportunity for Soto to gun down a runner because he was already shallow in right field, and he put the perfect throw home, one hop right to Terrence, who placed the tag. Big out for the Mets to get out of that jam because Canning was spiraling a little bit. And credit to him, he settled down from there, and the Mets started to bid their way back into the game. Jeff McNeil, not only does he have the walk-off hit late, he also gets the Mets off the board in the bottom of the second inning. Brandon Nimmo had a leadoff single in that frame. Luis Torrens, Tyron Tillo, they each strike out. Nimmo steals second base to get into scoring position for McNeil. Then McNeil hits a flare that finds some real estate. I swear, for all of the 2023 season and the first half of the 2024 season, that ball just hangs in the air long enough to get caught. But suddenly, Jeff McNeil has a little bit of that flying squirrel magic back in his bat, and it's able to drop in front of the center fielder at the time, Robert Hassel III, for an RBI single. The Mets get another run back in the third inning. Juan Soto crushing his 12th home run of the season. We're going to close the show on Soto today. It really does look like he is back in prime form. Canning put up zeros in the third and the fourth innings. Then C.J. Abrams got him again in the fifth inning. Clearly had his number. He was seeing beach balls tonight from Canning. Hits a solo home run to give the Nationals their 4th run. Again, like I said, not a good start from Griffin Canning, but also for most teams, Canning would be their 5th starter. For the Mets, you could call him their 4th or 5th starter right now. However you want to stack him and Tyler McGill. His season has been unbelievable. He has been far better than he ever has been in his career. I don't expect Griffin Canning to pitch to a sub-3 ERA this season. And so if he's not getting knocked out of the game in the third inning and he's not hanging 7 runs, I don't think that that's a horrible outing. Is it a quality start? No. But giving up 4 runs, but still getting through 5, getting it out in the 6th inning, He did give up 7 hits, walked 2, struck out 4. I thought it was a okay start, but he gave his team a chance to win, and I'm not going to knock him for that. I'm not going to start to question his standing in the rotation. I think for now, Canning's spot is just fine. He's safe at the moment from getting bumped from the rotation. I started to see some people saying that it's time to think about moving him to the bullpen, and I think we forget he was lights out against the Dodgers last week. So I thought, again, not a great start, but his ERA is at 3.22 this season. I'm not mad at Canning. I also got to give Jose Butto a ton of credit. He came on to get the final 2 outs of the 6th inning, first out of the 7th. He's been great lately. He's been pitching well with runners on base. I had a lot to say about Butto with runners on early this season. He has flushed that narrative. He's been very solid lately. Jose Castillo came on after Butto issued a walk, hit a batter, but then got a 6-6-3 double play. Francisco Lindor fielding a ground ball off the bat of James Wood, close enough to the back to take it himself. Turn 2. Big play there for the Mets. Castillo stayed on for the 8th, got the first out, then he gave up a double and walked a batter before being pulled for the newest Met, Justin Garza. Talked about him on yesterday's show. This is another David Stearns diamond in the rough. Guy's been throwing really hard in the minor leagues, still hasn't had a ton of success when it came to his ERA in the minor leagues this year, an ERA over 6 in AAA. Here he is in a big spot, close game, but the Mets are trailing at this point, so you're not going to put in Reed Garrett in this specific spot. You want to see if it's a game that you can attain before you go to your top guy. So Garza's the choice. Strikes out the first batter he sees on 3 pitches, just blows him away with fastballs. Last one coming in at 98. Then he strikes out the next batter on an 89-mile-per-hour cutter. Seems to be a 3-pitch mix. High velocity fastball, a cutter that's got some really sharp bite to it, then a softer slider at 82, 83, so he's able to change speeds. And clearly the fastball is what's going to play. So excited to see what he'll do in this Mets bullpen. Great first outing. With the Mets trailing by a score of 4-2, they got the game even in the 8th. And it all starts with Starling Marte. Ronnie Mauricio and Francisco Lindor had each struck out to begin the inning, so 2 outs when Marte comes up batting in that 2-hole. He has a great at-bat, draws a walk to get Juan Soto to the plate. Soto rips a double in front of now right fielder Robert Hassel, had moved from center to right, and he tries to make a diving catch. Clearly didn't get a good jump, and I'm sure a Mets skeptic or a Nationals fan would say that ball should have been caught. I would say that it was hit very hard. 107 miles per hour off the bat, got on him quick. And so you got to credit Soto for hitting the ball hard at least. And, he ends up driving in a run, double, ends up in scoring position for Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso then rifles one into the left field corner where he hit it so hard that he ends up getting thrown out at second base. Hit it 110 miles per hour off the bat. James Wood throws him out trying to turn a single into a double, but that's not stretching a flare into a double. That is trying to score on an absolute missile that was just hit too hard. But the Mets at least tie it up. Edwin Diaz locked down in the 9th inning, struck out the first batter he saw and the final batter that he saw. 2 strikeouts in a 1-2-3 frame. Mets came up empty in the bottom of the 9th. Reed Garrett, now in a tie ball game, pitching in extras, is called on once again. He was excellent. Got a ground ball that advanced the runner to third. So he's sitting in a situation where you got a runner 90 feet away. You have to keep him there. He gets the big strikeout to do that, and then a fly out to get out of the inning. And then comes Jeff McNeil, bottom of the 10th. Luis Angel Acuna comes on to run. So he's going to score on any base hit. McNeil, first pitch he sees, doesn't try to do too much, was just trying to hit the ball to the right side to get the runner over, but he hits it over the infielder's head. Line drive into the outfield, and you have a walk-off winner. Great team victory by the New York Mets. I want to spend some more time on Jeff McNeil in the next segment because he has been so valuable to this team, a guy that was counted out. Suddenly, he's once again looking like one of the Mets' better players, and it has been a joy to watch. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center where you can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place So you stop just managing your money and you start to build wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track your spending, even plan long-term goals. And Monarch Money makes managing money with your partner smoother than ever because you can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. If you're watching on YouTube today, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button to help us get closer to our next goal of 14,000 subscribers. More than halfway there, over 13,500 subscribers. Really appreciate all of you who already have subscribed. And for those of you who help us get closer and closer to that goal. Let's talk about Jeff McNeil. I spent some time on a show a couple days ago on McNeil, but he deserves even more love after getting a walk-off hit. This guy, since last year, after the All-Star break, has been unbelievable. I mean, he has been playing at an all-star level for his last 77 games. And if you look at his stats going into the game today, if you go back, you sort all the top hitters in Major League Baseball since the All-Star break last year. Do you know Jeff McNeil is 11th in Major League Baseball in slugging percentage? Now, it's only in 250 plate appearances because he was hurt at the end of last season, hurt at the beginning of this season. So the sample size is smaller than some other guys. But a 541 slugging percentage in over 75 games for Jeff McNeil, a 275 average, 366 on base, 13 homers, 17 doubles, 3 triples in, again, 76 games played before tonight where he went 2 for 4 with a couple of RBI hits. That's Jeff McNeil playing like a 25 home run hitter. That's Jeff McNeil putting together quality at bat after quality at bat and finally just trying to find his pitch and hit the ball hard instead of chasing hits, what they're talking about after the game. Now, Jeff McNeil is so good when it comes to his bat to ball skills that at times he's swinging at bad pitches, or he was swinging at bad pitches, trying to put the ball in play, trying to hit it where they aren't. And that's just such a tough game to play. When McNeil's been at his best, it's when he is hitting the ball hard. I guess the only exception you could say is maybe the 2022 season where they were still shifting against Jeff McNeil, and he was able to hit against the shift. And, you know, his ability then to maybe hit them where they weren't was a little bit more of a valued trait. But he talked about after the game, it's hard to hit for a high average with the way pitchers are these days. They're just so good. So you're better off just having a quality at bat, looking to get a pitch to drive, and putting your A swing out there as much as possible. And that is what McNeil has done now through 36 games this season. His OPS is 891. That right there is a very good offensive player. Over the past 2 weeks, he's hitting 341 with a 378 on base, 707 slug, OPS over 1,000. He's just consistently hitting line drives, putting himself in good positions, not striking out much, which he never does, and drawing more walks than he ever has too, as I talked about recently. So Jeff McNeil has been a revelation for this team. The fact that here you are without really any backup center fielder on the roster, if you think about it, it really is right now Tyrone Taylor and Jeff McNeil. I'm kind of going through my head, and they got Brandon Nimmo that can shift over, and you would think you could play Acuna in center field in a pinch. But when they got out of Jose Azocar, it was pretty clear, all right, they're cool with Taylor and McNeil as their center fielders. In this game, the Mets pinch hit for Tyrone Taylor and put Jeff McNeil in center field late. That shows you how comfortable they are with McNeil's defense out there. And that's huge. That's a huge thing for this team. I spent yesterday's show talking about Jarren Duran. It's funny, I talked to my dad today, and he's like, why can't the Mets just stick with Jeff McNeil? And Tyrone Taylor. Like, my dad was like, why trade for Jarren Duran? I saw some comments that were along the same lines, and I get it. I mean, the Mets don't have to make that type of an all-in move for this season because they could stay internal. They could trust that second base will be solved by Brett Beatty and Ronnie Mauricio, although Ronnie Mauricio's at-bats weren't as good in the game today. But regardless, and I mean, Beatty's haven't been that great either recently. But Jeff McNeil is right now, offensively, the Mets' best option at 2 positions, second base and center field. So we'll see how this season progresses, but this is a guy that Mets fans were ready to say goodbye to. I mean, the amount of times this offseason or in spring training or even early this season before he got his legs under him after coming off the injured list. So many people were ready to just say, all right, find someone that you can trade Jeff McNeil to, or just cut him. Have Acuna be your second baseman. He's not worth it. And I would always sort of push back and say, look, when it comes to just his defensive versatility, his ability to be an average defender at second base, left field, or right field, now suddenly center field too, but he was always going to be a good enough big league piece to be on the roster. But now he's back to being an above average piece that is helping the Mets win. And you got to remember, he's a really good player, like a two-time All-Star. He was on Team USA in the World Baseball Classic after his 2022 season where he won a batting title. Like, this is one of the greatest homegrown Mets in franchise history, and he is as polarizing as anyone. But you look at the all-time WAR list, and he's tied with Hojo at 19 on the Mets all-time list. That's including pitchers and hitters. And above Hojo, you got Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, and Brandon Nimmo. Actually, I think it's Nimmo, Lindor, Alonso. So he's probably not going to move into the top 10, but Jeff McNeil likely ends up top 15 all-time in WAR when his career is all said and done. He's the second longest tenured Met. A guy at this point that is starting to earn some of that respect back, and rightfully so. He's a guy that's easy to get frustrated with because of the way that he really wears his struggles on his sleeves. And I think a lot of fans are always quick to point to his love for golf as a reason to knock the guy and think that has anything to do with his play on the field with baseball. But he's a good player. And right now he's certainly earning that $15.75 million in salary. Seems like you're not going to really be hating it too much next year. And all of a sudden, he plays like this throughout the rest of this season and next. Maybe that club option in 2027 is talked about after all. But McNeil deserves a lot of credit for the way he's been playing lately, and he should be in the lineup every day. I'm glad he got to start against the lefty in this one. Now, when it comes to where he's going to start, in the meantime, play him in center field because the clock is potentially ticking on Ronnie Mauricio. Mark Vientos is already doing baseball activities. He was doing field work, jogging, hitting in the cage. I'd expect him to begin a rehab assignment potentially as early as possible. So once his 10 days on the IL is up, I could see the Mets sticking him in Syracuse as soon as this weekend, letting him get some at-bats, hopefully getting in a good rhythm, and then making a switch where they likely would demote. I don't even know if it necessarily is Mauricio. It could be Acuna first with the Mets trying to juggle playing time for all these guys. But regardless of whenever Vientos comes back, like McNeil's the guy that's going to get in there. So all these other guys are going to have to find their playing time around him. And again, by shifting him into center field, you can open up time for other guys. But Vientos, good news is he is working his way back. And I still think ultimately that's the bat that I still trust the most among all the young hitters. I still believe in Mark Vientos more than Brett Beatty or Ronnie Mauricio with the bat. So it's going to be a good thing when they get him back. And I hope that he does get plenty of time on his rehab assignment. He can get as many as 20 days. Get him in a really good rhythm, and then stick him back in the lineup nearly every day as well. Now, speaking of rehab, let's just touch on Sean Manaea's rehab start really quick before we move on to Juan Soto to close out the show. Manaea made a start tonight with Brooklyn, was very good, allowed 2 hits, hit a batter, walked a batter, did not give up a run, got through 2 2/3 innings pitched, struck out 4, got up to 46 pitches, so a good day in the comeback for Manaea. Next start, probably getting to 60 pitches. Following one, maybe 75. That's following exactly what we've sort of seen from Frankie Montas. Then get him up to a full pitch count on his 5th rehab start. So expect him to get at least 3 more. If he looks great at that point, no reason to have him waiting any longer. You can potentially bring him back after 5 rehab starts. He might need a 6th one, but Manaea definitely getting closer and closer to a return, which is a huge, huge thing for this rotation. Yes, they've been great all year, but Sean Manaea was supposed to be right there with Kodai Senga as one of the aces on this team. And getting him back is going to be a very positive thing because, for one, obviously it lengthens the rotation, but more importantly, it shows you what your ceiling is when it comes to that staff. If Manaea looks like he did last year, I don't think the Mets need to be big game hunting for a starting pitcher at the deadline. If Sean Manaea looks a little bit rocky and you're looking at a rotation where it's Kodai Senga, David Peterson, and you're wondering who is going to be there come October to make a playoff start, because Benai is not looking great and you just can't count on Clay Holmes to go through a 6-month season and still pitch in October with it being his first year in a rotation. Maybe he can, but you can't be counting on that. It's so important to get a couple of starts with Sean Manaea before the deadline. So excited that he is on that road to recovery. But I feel like I've buried the lead. Juan Soto has his swagger back, and that's where we're going to close the show in just a minute. Today's episode is brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site that's made for skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is a reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM. Start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies, which is a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. If you're an everydayer that's always tuning into the show, make sure to become a Locked On Mets insider. This is our texting service where you get updates from me anytime news breaks in the Mets. You can ask me questions anytime. Take part in our Locked On Mets sign photo giveaways. You get the lineup graphic sent to your phone each day, so you know the starting lineup without ever having to go on social media. If you want to be a Locked On Mets insider, find a link in the episode description or go to subtext.com/LockedOnMets. Now, before we talk about Juan Soto to close out the show, I wanted to take a minute to shout out Starling Marte, just as we did last segment with Jeff McNeil, because this was another guy the Mets fans were writing off, and I guess you could say rightfully so when you look at the numbers through May. 173 batting average, 617 OPS, not through May. Coming into the month of May, that was his numbers through April. He was struggling to a really high degree early on this season, but if you remember at the time, I told all of you Mets fans that I could see Marte at some point being taken off the roster, but that was not a decision they would take lightly because he is such a veteran leader on this team. And because at the time, you still had Jose Azocar on the roster, and I just didn't think that the Mets were going to rush to make that move just so they could call up, I don't know, Joey Meneses or whatever it would have been. So Marte has stayed, and he's reminding us that, this was a guy that in October last year was giving you quality at-bats, and he still has that ability. He's hitting .316 since May 4th, 409 on base, 456 slug. He's got a WRC plus, that's weighted runs created plus, of 153. WRC plus measures hitters on a league average of 100, so he's been 53 points better than your league average hitter. It's just a quality veteran, and Juan Soto said it at the game. He said that's a 12-year veteran taking that at-bat right there, and it really was the key at-bat of the game. He gets Soto to the plate in the 8th inning, and Soto is able to get the big double. Then Alonso is able to get his hit that ties the game, and that extends things. So if not for that walk by Starling Marte, the Mets don't win this game. So he deserves a lot of praise for what he has done this year, and it feels like he is kind of solidified in that role for now of being the right-handed DH bat, but also a guy that, can be plugged into some other games, whether it's starting against a right-handed pitcher every now and again, or if it's, just coming off the bench when you have whoever the lefty is that started the game. Let's just say it's Jared Young right now. Eventually could be Jesse Winker. Lefty reliever comes on for that matchup, then you go to Marte. So I think we're seeing that there's still something left in the tank. And I think when we look back at the 4-year deal the Mets gave Starling Marte, while there was some real downs, he was brutal in 2023, didn't have the best regular season. It was good last year, not great. But when you look at the All-Star season in 2022, when you look at the playoff run last year and the veteran impact he has on this club right now, I think that ended up being a pretty worthwhile investment. Now, getting to, speaking of investments, the most significant one in the history of sports, Juan Soto, he's finally starting to look like himself. he's had a lot of, good moments so far this year, but this was a game where they really don't win it without him. And I'm sure there's others that we could go back if we comb through the season. We could find other moments where Juan Soto put the Mets on his back. But if you really think about the impact on this game, for one, of course, the 8th inning, the 2 runs the Mets scored there, all really engineered by Soto. Marte gets on for him, but the double and then scoring on the Pete Alonso hit, the tying run. But it's the home run that he hit that really tells you he's back, because we're starting to see the confidence back. It's crazy that for this one specific hitter, body language really feels like it's everything. And when Juan Soto's not shuffling, and it's not just the shuffling, because the Soto shuffle, that's what he's known for. That's his signature logo is the Soto shuffle. That's what he's known for. But to me, it's the Soto nods. The Soto nods tell all. When Juan Soto is swinging at a good pitch, fouling it off, and he's on it, and he's looking right at the pitcher, dead in the eyes, and he's nodding his head like, I got you. I got you. That's your best fastball? I'm on it. I got you. That's when you know he's dangerous. Go back if you haven't watched it, and I don't know how you couldn't have at this point, because it was such a pivotal at bat last year, but go back and watch Juan Soto's home run against the Guardians that sent the Yankees into the World Series. He was fouling off pitches, and with each foul ball, his confidence was growing. It's like he was growing bigger and bigger in the box. And by the time he hit the home run, he was standing 7 feet tall. He just had so much presence in that box, such a feel of the at-bat, knowing, okay, I know what you're going to throw on each pitch. I know what you're going to do. Are you going to come out with a different pitch? And as soon as they get away from the fastball and they try something else, gone. And that's what you saw against Mackenzie Gore. Fouls off a couple of fastballs. He's nodding. He's like, I'm on it. I'm on it. Try to throw me the slider. And it wasn't a good one. And Soto just demolished it. And also, by the way, didn't just demolish it, to left center field. When Soto is going opposite field too, for any hitter, when you're seeing them drive the ball with authority the other way, that's when you know they're completely locked in, because any hitter, even when they're cold, can turn on one and pull one down the line and hit a home run. But when you see a guy go to opposite field, particularly for Soto to left center field like that, you know he's locked in. This is a guy that all of a sudden the OPS keeps climbing up and up and up, and now it's up to 840. You look at his last 30 games, walking more than he struck out. He's got an 863 OPS. Look at his last 15 games, walking more than he struck out. 1,100 OPS. Look at his last 7 games. He's getting on base at a 559 clip, 10 walks to 5 strikeouts, a 1266 OPS. He's not going to match the production from last year, and that's okay. He doesn't have to. But he's having fun winning games again. He's back to looking like Juan Soto, and I think he's going to put up a monster final 4 months of the season. When it's all said and done, will the OPS be over 900? I think it will be. When it's all said and done, will he have cleared 30 home runs? I think so. Will he get to 100 RBIs? I don't know, because I think he's in the 30s right now through 60-plus games here. What is he at? 66 games played, but I wouldn't be surprised if he still got to 100, or at least cleared 80 or 90. And by the time we get to the playoffs, I don't think there's going to be any question who the best hitter on the Mets is, unless Pete Alonso really has something to say about it and he sustains this all year and Pete's a legitimate MVP candidate. The Mets might have a couple guys that are that locked in, but you're seeing the upside and the potential of this team when you have Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, and Pete Alonso all going at the same time. You're seeing Brandon Nimmo step it up, and now Jeff McNeil. If he's playing at an all-star level, and right now he is, I don't think he'll make the all-star team just because of his late start to the season and everything else, but he's back to playing at that level that we've seen where he has been an all-star in the past. I mean, all of a sudden this team is crazy deep. So really great to see Soto having that level of swagger back, and I'm excited to see what that's going to mean for the Mets moving forward, because, I mean, this guy, there's a reason that he got the $765 million. It's because he's one of the greatest hitters of this generation, and he's so good when he's locked in. Last couple games, we've seen it. The impact has been real. It was the Sunday game, right, where he got on base every single time, 3 for 3 with 3 walks. Then it's an RBI double and a home run. Who knows? Who knows what's next for Soto? But I can't wait to watch it all. So I'll be covering The rest of this series, of course, against the Nationals on tomorrow's show, we'll likely circle back to what I was expecting to talk about today. I want to pinpoint a date where Pete Alonso is going to break the record and pass Darryl Strawberry on the all-time list for the New York Mets. So we're going to likely go over that tomorrow, unless, who knows, maybe somebody else has a huge game that deserves more discussion than Pete. But we will talk about this week. So make sure to talk about that this week. Make sure you follow, rate, and review wherever you get your podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. You can follow me on social media, Finkelstein Ryan. Follow the show at Locked On Mets. If you want to be a Locked On Mets insider, find a link in the episode description and go to subtext.com/Locked On Mets. Thank you for making Locked On Mets your first listener, your first watch every day. Now for your second watch, head over to Locked On MLB and check out Locked On MLB Game Night, the show that'll take you on the action of Major League Baseball with insight from all of our local hosts. Show is on the Locked On MLB YouTube channel. It can also be found on the Locked On MLB podcast feed.